It was a quiet morning in Umuka village. The sky was gray, and a light drizzle touched the ground like tiny whispers from the clouds. In a small mud house at the edge of the village, a poor farmer named Ken stepped outside. His shirt was old and torn at the sleeves. His trousers had patches. His slippers were worn out, repaired over and over with his own hands. Ken looked up at the sky and sighed. It looks like it's about to rain, he said softly. But I must go to the farm. That's where I earn my daily bread. With a hoe over his shoulder and determination in his heart, Ken walked down the narrow path that led to his small farm. Ken had always been that way. Quiet, hardworking, and full of humility. He never complained. He never fought. He just did what was right. One day, a message came from the palace. King James of Umuka had called for a meeting with all the kingsmen of the land. Though Ken was poor, he was one of them. He had inherited the title from his late father, even if he didn't dress or speak like the others. That morning, Ken put on his best clothes, though they were still old and faded, and began the long walk to the palace. On the road, he met one of the kingsmen, Liko, dressed in fine clothes, shining shoes, and walking with pride in every step. Liko looked Ken up and down, shook his head, and laughed. "This meeting is not for poor, dirty people like you," he scoffed. Ken said nothing. He just kept walking. When they reached the palace, many of the kingsmen were already seated. As Ken tried to sit down, Liko blocked his way and pushed him aside. "Don't sit here," he said with disgust. "You're too poorly dressed for this place." Ken quietly found a corner and sat down, still without a word. King James saw everything, but he said nothing. He stood up and addressed the room. "In 3 days, there will be a grand festival in Umuka. I want the market square cleared and cleaned. That's all." The meeting ended. The men left, each walking their own way. As Ken walked home, he heard the words of the other kingsmen. Jeff laughed and said, "Me? A respected man like me? Clear bushes? Never! That job is for people like Ken." Liko boasted, "I am rich and well known. I can't touch dirt. Let that poor farmer do it." Solo, walking alone, whispered to himself, Solo, the one and only, the great man of Umuka. I dine with kings and queens. Clear bushes? That's an insult." But Ken, walking with a calm heart, smiled to himself. "It's a good idea to clean the market square. I'll go out early and do it." 3 days later, at the break of dawn, the market square was quiet. No kingsman came out. No rich man arrived. Only Ken. With a cutlass in hand, he began clearing the thick bushes. He worked until sweat soaked his shirt and his hands grew sore. As he was bending to pick another branch, a voice called out, "Ken." He looked up. It was King James, standing tall beside his guards. "Where are the other men?" the king asked. "They didn't come, Your Majesty," Ken replied simply. The king nodded slowly. "Finish up and come to my house." Later that evening, Ken arrived at the king's palace, dusty and tired. King James looked at him with a deep gaze and said, "There will be no festival in the market square. Do not go there on the appointed day. Instead, come straight to my house." Ken bowed and left quietly. On the day of the festival, the other kingsmen dressed in their best. They went to the market square expecting drums, food, and dancing, but when they arrived, the place was silent. Clean, yes, but empty. They waited and waited, but no one came. Confused and grumbling, they headed to the palace. There, they found Ken, dressed in royal clothes, new, clean, and bright. They gasped. "You? "What are you doing here, poor farmer?" Jeff asked. "Why are you wearing royal clothes?" Solo asked angrily. "This is not your place," Liko barked. Before Ken could speak, the king's voice thundered. "Enough!" The hall went silent. "I asked you all to clean the market square. Why didn't you go?" No one answered. The king stood from his throne. "I need a second in command. A man who will stand by me, a man who listens, a man who serves without pride." One by one, the kingsmen raised their hands. "I will do it! Pick me, your majesty! I am ready!" But Ken said nothing. The king walked over to Ken, placed a hand on his shoulder, and said, "This man, though poor, is respectful. He is humble. He obeyed without question. He has no equal in this land. Today, I make him my second in command." Gasps filled the room. The proud kingsmen lowered their heads in shame. Ken stood tall, not with pride, but with quiet honor. His life had changed, not because of wealth, but because of character. And so, in the heart of Umupa, the poor farmer became the king's most trusted man, all because he chose to do what was right, even when no one was watching.
Great! Character indeed speaks. Moral lesson. This story teaches us that integrity and doing the right thing lead to true honor and success. Doing what is right, even when no one sees or praises you, brings lasting reward and respect. The farmer's rise from poverty to becoming the king's most trusted man shows that honesty, good character, and moral courage are more valuable than wealth or status. Ken's obedience to clear the bushes didn't just clean a market square, it cleaned our mindset. It reminds us that greatness often hides behind simple acts of responsibility. The people who achieve success are not always the most gifted, but they are the ones who obey the call to act when others hesitate. Thank you for watching The Power of Obedience on our channel. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more captivating stories. Share this story to spread the message of integrity, humility, and moral courage. Let us know in the comments section what Ken's story taught you. Keep your heart open to our next adventure.